Welcome back to another episode of Epic Blunders. Last week, our group that still has yet to figure out a name, or at least if they've decided on a name, they have yet to communicate that to anyone. They were heading north out of Zarzisk Kitrol. Your plan, I believe, was to travel through the ruins of Draconia and further north into the area of the mini hosts of Yggdrathad and potentially up to Asarius, the city of beasts. You guys made some decent travel time, but actually when you made camp for the night at one point, you realized that there were some warning beacons lit up behind you, and as a result ended up actually running a good hour or so backwards toward the garrison that you had passed earlier in the day. You made it back in time to find just a couple of the Dragonborn who were stationed there still alive and fighting against a couple of very large, gnarly looking gnolls, a couple of ice trolls, and a couple of winter wolves as well. Before you even made it there, completely separate, but taking advantage of the chaos, there was, yes, indeed, a Rimmeraz that popped up and ruined your day for a little while until he decided to make the best of another day of life and headed off elsewhere.
ETFO.
So you guys ended the night with, I believe, only 3 survivors, kind of suffering from a little bit of PTSD, in shock, and they just needed some rest. So as we pick up the next morning, what you guys have seen, I assume you had decent watches, but more of these Dragonborn have shown up over the course of the night, as those from further out were indeed following the protocol outlined and were making their way further in. So you do have a handful of Dragonborn. You also have a couple that were coming from the outskirts that actually made good time as they were riding on the backs of a couple of drakes.
Oh, cool.
Which is why you have a couple raptors there on your screen.
I thought I fell asleep and didn't remember.
I guess all my dark elves used to ride raptor. God, that was fun.
What?
So there's a handful of them here. There's at least one that looks like a little bit more of a commanding officer type. They've also informed you that the ones on the southernmost outskirts, the ones that you recall passing when you first entered the ruins, they've actually sent a rider further south and toward the city in hopes of delivering a message there and getting both support but also reinforcements heading back up here. So we pick up with I would say the dawn, but if you guys are needing a little bit longer rest, because this probably did push into good 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
8-4 smarts to get here.
Yeah, we're probably exhausted. Well, nearly exhausted.
Yeah, we good for a long rest, or at least to attempt to take a long rest?
If you guys are going to finish, out through dawn, I'll say that all this stuff is happening around dawn. It took a couple of hours for the ones on the outskirts to make it in. But yeah, if you're not doing anything else and you're just kind of making sure you get your long rest in, then yes, go ahead. So I would
Just
say at that point,
GM.
Go ahead.
Mine keeps showing Devil's Own Luck, and I don't have that any longer.
You have not updated your class in Abre.
How do I do that?
Run the class alias. I believe it should automatically update, but if not, we can walk through that, or we can do it off on the side at some other point. Technically, anybody who's leveled up probably should run the class alias also, just so it pulls in any additional things it might have missed. especially if you multi-class, you may need to coax it along. So it
For
should
me,
just be
exclamation
exclamation mark
point.
class.
Alien? Class.
What was that, Awna?
I was gonna say for me, update kind of factored all that in.
Yep.
Okay. It's not a huge deal. We'll deal with it later. I don't want to bog us down here. Or if you do the class help thing off on the side, it might walk you through it just fine. All right. So at this point, then, if you're taking a full long rest, I would assume you're probably going to be close to noon before you guys are actually ready to do much of anything.
That sounds about right.
Because it's probably about 3 o'clock before you finally settle down. You didn't really get the benefit of even I guess the benefit of a short rest earlier on, but your long rest was interrupted by too long of a period of time, so you had to restart that. So 8 or 9 hours, if you count all your watches, and then you probably have about an hour of prep time. So yeah, at least noon at this point. But
Yeah.
You have a few more people here. The people who were survivors are a little bit more coherent at this point. Yep. So the afternoon, I suppose, is yours. What would you like to do?
Well, we're gonna head back the direction we were originally.
Look at Grolyd.
Fearless leader.
I think we were, unless we have any
I
reason
think so.
to stay.
My only concern is that they are ready for the amount of additional arms we have here to be gone.
Well, then, we can ask.
Unless there was someone pulling that no string that we.
That's not bad.
So that doesn't null at the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You get it?
That was bad, Whiskey.
Humor isn't
It's
pretty
funny.
all the time.
I thought it was quite clever.
Hi.
Either way, who would we add? It doesn't sound like they've always referred to the Knoll as the person behind these attacks.
Maybe we just ask them if this is the one that was causing all the problems that we got. Or
I think they verified that last night.
They did.
Yeah, they
it's
did.
not- we didn't hear it from the captain. He was dead. We heard it from
The
people who may think that's it. Once again.
A little verification will work. Let's check him.
Yeah, you did from the three that survived the assault. As far as I know, or as far as they know, that last Knoll that you put down seemed to be the one in charge. He seemed to be the one that kept coming back with larger and better forces. Again, and now that they're more coherent, they're able to speak more at length about it. And some of the ones who came and reinforced the entire area can confirm that as well, because they all spend a little bit of time here at the garrison. So yeah, the one who is now kind of assumed the position of the commanding officer will speak to that a little bit, let you know that they as far as they know, he probably was the one in charge. How he was necessarily recruiting, what he was doing to try to pull people in, they weren't entirely certain, but they suspected that Flynn, that large oversized Knoll, probably had something to do with it, with like intimidation tactics.
No.
And then just generally survival, like strength in numbers type of thing. Hey, if we band together and we take this garrison, we have a better chance of survival. We have a better chance of actually like starting a whole little bandit clan or whatever their hopes were. They're not entirely certain at that point because, well, number one, you can't question a dead person unless you have special means. And the knoll that you guys put down was not specifically the type that would monologue in his assaults. So some of this was just kind of guesswork based on what they had, sorted out. And some of it was just kind of, if they could interrogate a hireling before they killed them off, then that's about the best they were able to get from them.
I always did a pretty good monologue.
Willam, do you run into a lot of bad guys in the wastelands? Monologue?
You'd be surprised.
That monologue?
Oh yeah, that end up there. I mean, face it, all your, a lot of your outlaws, and bad types that put in used to civilization, but of course their crimes get them. They have to run or they're down. Wasteland. They don't get to talk that much. A lot of them store it all up, and once you get to where you're confronting them, they let it loose. Sometimes it's pretty good, actually. Gotta give them credit.
Makes sense. Okay, so I assume our track is to keep going north.
The situation here seems under control. I will be fine to leave.
There were only like 3 or 4 people left, right? Total.
There were only 3. As you look around, you probably have at least double that at this point. 6 or 7 plus the 2 drakes that they rode in on. And you do see that they're true to their word, as you kind of had put the Dragonborn bodies off to the side and dealt with the others, that they are doing their best to kind of wrap up the fallen, and they're actually packing them in snow at the moment to like preserve the bodies until they can actually be taken back to the city.
Since no one else seems to want to, Pix will try to find that Dragonborn that's sort of taken command of the situation. Is there anything more me and my companions can do for you, or may we continue our travels northward?
Your path is your own. We are fortunate that you were present when you were, or else the garrison would have fallen completely. For that, we're in your debt. But I don't believe there's anything further that you could do for us. However, and he kind of gestures broadly around, I'm not entirely certain that we could have foreseen this and asked for your help in advance for that as well. So do what you will.
Truly. We are sorry for your loss, but we are happy to have helped fend them off. Good day to you.
You as well. And you get more mumblings and kind of one of them, the survivors actually will come up and just kind of shake each of your hands and that type of thing. But yeah, for the most part, they're focused on what needs to get done next.
Right.
And keep back, whether it's piecing together what's left of the garrison or, working with the bodies again or whatever. So they seem willing to converse if you desire, but for the most part, they're just seem focused on what's the next task at hand.
Right. Well, that answers that. We are free to move as we like. Say we continue back north.
Where did these gnolls come from?
Oh,
You asking the
do not know.
Dragonborn?
No, I was speaking to the group.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Not know.
You'd be better off asking one of the soldiers here.
It was a question I expected an answer to, but more amusing. Something. Since nothing is terribly pressing at the moment.
Oh, you wish to investigate them?
Well, it is the kind of thing I do.
Or Link, do you think you can find some tracks?
I'm sure a group that large left a trail. But what do you think? Something we should look into, or something we should just move on from?
I don't think it'll
Depends
hurt
on
to take
if there's any more left to their group. Might come back for revenge.
I don't think it'll hurt to take a look.
Can I see if Grolyd is trying to deflect a little? I feel like
Yeah, make an insight check.
he knows that we're starting to get closer to his hometown / Daggerland, and I feel like he might be deflecting.
Yeah, make an insight check. And then Grolyd, if you want to make an opposed check, then feel free. You can either do deception or persuasion based on what it is that you're actually doing. Otherwise,
Actually, if you'll allow it, I'll take that roll and I'll give Awna what it is she gets off of Grolyd.
That's fine. Go for it.
Yeah. So with that 13, you get just having looked back at Grolyd's actions in the past. He always seemed to be very eager to move towards the dagger. However, perhaps maybe a little deflection about going home.
Okay. Well, we do have kind of a game plan heading north.
Right. A lot of our own interests lie northward. Me, I don't particularly care either way.
Seems to me that the creation of a larger, more menacing, more powerful gnoll takes some kind of magic. Knows that perhaps something we're looking for might be involved.
All right.
Doesn't have to be true, just something that occurred to me.
Grolyd, are you saying it's possible that this wizard's head or whoever's carrying him instigating the gnolls to distract the military from what he's doing?
It's possible.
I hadn't thought about
That
that.
seems like a leap, though.
Question is, how long has the attack's been going on?
Grolyd, make an Arcana check, and you can do this with advantage because of your Blood Hunter stuff.
And the attack sounded a lot more long term, and they mentioned what was your friend's name, Link?
Navi, I think it was.
They mentioned that she was still in town, in their town, like even after, like within weeks, right?
Yes.
feeling going, so
Seems like we had only just missed her.
yeah, to me it sounds like these knoll things have been around a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
you would
an
have gotten that
18.
from the conversations. By the way, that there's been weeks in between each of these assaults, and this is at least the third one. So you're talking probably at least a month, if not longer, since the first one. If you're looking to place that on your timeline at all. Grolyd, an 18. You're not entirely certain what may or may not have created this overpowered Flind, this knoll that had some sort of magical essence to it. But he looked a little more older and even more gnarled than your average knoll. You know, based on kind of pack tactics of creatures, that they venerate their elders at least as long as they're able to maintain dominance and superiority, and this one obviously was able to. I mean, you thoroughly inspected the bodies last night, and this guy definitely probably was at least 40, 50 years old. So the thought that does occur to you based on the area that you're in was the extreme amount of magical upheaval in the last 10 to 20 years in this area because of Draconia being above, Draconia being destroyed, Voragol itself, the ancient dragon, just completely changing the landscape. And even now, as you guys are passing, you're still seeing, evidences of these floating, rock structures that, formerly the base of the city itself, still kind of floating around. There's a lot of magical turmoil that's happened in the last couple of decades in this area. It may be enough, because you don't know, you'd have to look more specifically. It may be enough to infuse a creature like this. But the next question that would come up to you is, what else may be out there if it did it to a knoll? And then, so your hunter immediately starts thinking along those lines.
Yeah, it's, as I think on it, the magics of the area may well have been enough to give them what they need to create, or maybe even do on its own, the Lind. However, it does beg the question, though, what else is out there? However, not necessarily why we're here, so I defer to the group. Just a thought that occurred to me.
Well, while I certainly wouldn't be adverse to traversing the area looking for things, I think we would be better off heading north. What say the rest of you?
I have no preference.
Let's burn some daylight. Move.
Yeah, let's move on. I think it's just the knoll trying to,
Establish its territory.
Yeah. But I'm not a hunter or anything, so I'm good moving on.
Then let's head off.
Sounds good.
I'll be up front.
I think I'll join you, Awna.
I will take a card and I'm AFK for a minute. Hold on. Go ahead. I'm AFK for a second.
All right. You'll head back out. You can make decent time in the daylight, and especially since you've now traversed at least a little bit of this landscape twice now. You pass a couple of towers that still have two guardian sentries atop it, and they all just kind of acknowledge you, raise a hand, nod, whatever you do in return, up to you. But they spot you like they were doing before. Each of these, at least in the first leg of your journey, is still covered by sentries. But as you get to where you had made your camp before, you actually don't find anybody present.
There must not have been any more guards to come out this way.
Didn't we leave people here?
No, we followed them, remember? They were waiting for more guards to come to relieve them so that they could follow us. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We left people here.
As each tower's watch moved to the next tower, relieved the guard that was there, and so on and so forth. And Grolyd's looking around for any signs of struggle or anything like that.
Make an investigation check.
May Pix assist?
Sure.
Alrighty. Make that with advantage, Grolyd.
Pix
it
is
wasn't a 1.
Yeah, 5 and a 1, so an 11 total.
There's two large sets of tracks. One seems to be coming from the north and makes a beeline basically to the entrance to this little tower. And then the other ones are the ones that you all created and seemingly have been used, by potentially others as well. It's hard to make out for certain, but you can definitely tell two sets of tracks, one coming from the north and one traveling from the watch area to the south. With an 11, you also are pretty certain you don't see any blood.
It seems they likely just finally had all of the last of the watchtower's watch arrived, and then last moved towards the garrison. I don't see any signs of struggle or anything, and the only tracks are the ones we made coming out and what appears to be the Dragonborn coming in from the further out towers.
Still, seems a tad odd, but they're probably somewhere.
Could be they were here already and wait, just hiding and then uncovered.
Or it could be that all of them have now made their way to the garrison.
It could. Well,
I don't see any reason to linger.
Agreed.
Moving on.
Yep.
All right. You keep on heading further to the north, and at this point, this is new terrain. Who's in point?
I believe it's me and Awna.
Yep. All right. You guys go ahead and make perception checks just as you're walking around.
Uh, 17 for Awna.
And a 20 for picks.
All right.
20.
You keep on moving forward another hour or two. At this point, you're probably mid-afternoon. And each of the towers that you pass along the way, again, unoccupied. Without doing any thorough searching, it's easy enough to see the same serpentine type of pattern, Awna, that you saw the sentries doing that were leading when you guys were following after them. You can see footprints kind of weaving back and forth. Always traveling south from that particular tower to the last one that you were at. So you pass another 2 that are like that. So there's 3 in a row unoccupied. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of goings on. And the only other thing that you would notice, fairly obvious for everyone, but Pix, you probably pick up on it quickest. The light snowfall is letting up, and at least to some degree with the warmth of the sun, it seems like things are just ever so slightly warming back up.
Oh, finally. I was getting a little tired of all the cold.
Oh, I mean ever so slightly, as in it's a few degrees warmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's not a drastic thing at all.
Got it.
It has gone from 32 to 35.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
At least it's not freezing.
Yeah, true.
The other thing you guys notice in fairly short order at this point is that after you pass now the 3rd unoccupied tower, there's still the mountainous terrain to like your northwest, but it seems like it's starting to flatten out a little bit and open up. You can see a bit more in the distance as you're traveling to the northeast. It seems like you're getting out of the ravine a little bit as you keep on traveling. You still see the scattered, shattered landscape of all of these buildings and, fallen rock formations all over the place. But it's a little less icy and it's a little less mountainous, but there's still just the crags all over the place that are almost, again, looking like it's growing up out of the land itself.
Maybe a little less guarded too.
Maybe. I somehow doubt it, though. Well, actually, if things continue to follow the pattern, we should.
You do me next.
You want to tonight? I don't want to take up too much of our time.
I think we're just... Yeah, right, sure. Why not? Nothing else going on right now.
I need you to roll a D12, 7, and a D2.
I've updated your location here on your stream. So you have the cliff face kind of off to your left a little bit. This seems to be a lone little structure.
Oh, nice.
And then the path, what little is of the path, kind of veers off, continuing east northeast. But I don't have that part.
So that would be a 12, a 5, and a 2.
All right. Your cosmic caravan constellation is called the Mother. You are a nurturing spirit, and your fate is to use this talent to aid those around you. You give the gift of compassion and patience. You will dedicate your life to helping others grow. While they may not thank you directly, your pupils will be ever thankful for your guidance. You are fond of warriors and myths, which is reflected in your musical tastes. You enjoy drinking wine and beer and got quite a temper. Still, you value your close friends and have a sense of camaraderie, and will likely work on a job requiring physical work. And for today, look at the star chart here. You are an ambitious one, according to this. Focusing on getting ahead with job-related matters. The way the moon here is it helps you focus on your next step, where your communication skills need to be worked on as you focus inward, and you focus on your core needs as an individual in the upcoming weeks. What I have for you.
Well, that's pretty accurate, I would say. I don't see myself as ambitious. Yeah, I think that's about right.
Think that's close?
Yeah, I think it's close.
Do you find that your caravan sign is correct? Being the Mother.
Yeah, I do.
Why do you think that?
Because that's the way I always looked out for everybody, watched over the younger children and the clan. It was always just something I did. It was always something that I always knew to do without being told. It was just the way it was, to watch over, protect, take care of, make sure they had, nothing, nobody's picking on them, learning, helping them get along, breaking up the fight, getting into the fights with them,
Understood. I'm sorry you're not usually thanked for your hard work, so thank you.
Well, I mean, I don't really see it as hard work. Thanks. Yeah. It's just the way it is. Like I said before, we're like a family. Together, we're here. Just the way I see us. All of us. And sometimes, families need to be taken care of. We need people there to make sure they're safe, have what they need. And sometimes to push them into, where they need to go from where they want to go.
guess with these readings, it's not just simply a read, but if I am close and accurate, that's almost like not a two-way agreement, but acknowledging how you see your destiny and all of this.
Yeah. I guess. I'm not really sure. When last time I was read, when I was in the tribes, they were trying to, place us where we should go for mentorship and everything. They saw the bear, not just a regular bear. They saw a mother bear with her cub. So, and she was protecting the cub. So they figured warrior. And since they saw a bear, they let me try with the barbarian, what everybody calls them. We just call them warriors. But yeah, he taught me the way of the air totems. So it seems to have worked out very well.
Sounds like the shamans might have given you this destiny from a young age then.
Yeah, when you're about 16, you go, usually it's a one-on-one thing. Big ritual, big day, people, when they do it. So, yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Actually,
cast their bones and gems and contemplate and consult and think, went and consult where you were born and days that you were born and everything else. And they read on that, too.
I would be interested in meeting some of these shaman from your clan.
Of course, if we come in contact with my clan when travel, normally wintertime they head south, usually down to the lakes where I was born, and hang out and stay down there for a while. It's easier because it's southern instead of northern, and most things move to the south when that happens. That and there's always fishing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad I was able to do this for you.
Thank you. Grolyd, you should go.
Grolyd is out watching the pics.
Between you and I, Grolyd he was the first, as the fearless leader that he is. He was more than willing to get the first read.
Oh, that's interesting.
As the rest of you have been watching this, you've also been able to see the remnants of the sun disappear at your backs as it hides away behind the mountain cliff behind you. The sky off to your east has already become quite dark, and eventually the last bit of light is winking away.
Suppose it's time to set up official watches then?
Sounds like an idea.
You got a better idea of the structure there now, Vix?
Yeah.
You may
help.
be able to set up on top or on bottom, but it'd be kind of a tight squeeze, so.
Yeah, definitely. Come on. Yeah, it's 10-foot radius. So
Yeah, you could squeeze and be super tight, but inside you've got a rock wall that just kind of drops into a 10-foot drop if somebody rolls over wrong, and on top kind of have the same thing, roll off the top in the wrong spot and fall down to the bottom floor. So with you guys basically pushing the boundaries of how many people can even fit in it in the first place, since you hit 8 of the 9, you could try to squeeze in and just hope for the best, or have some on top, some on bottom.
right.
All right, so who's doing watches? And before you roll your perception checks for your watches, is there anything else that, any other conversations or anything else you'd like to accomplish?
Well, I'm taking another 10 minutes to recast Tiny Sphere, pretty much in the same spot, so we don't have to worry about that.
Tiny hut, right?
Tiny hut, yes.
It's like, man, that's an interesting spell, Tiny Sphere.
Yeah, right.
It works like a yo-yo.
And I'll take first watch.
I'll take it with you.
Alrighty. I have to stay downstairs though, otherwise the dome pops.
That's
Learned
okay.
my lesson last time.
No, we'll walk around outside. It's okay.
Awna, was there further story conversation you were wanting to have? I don't want to truncate that.
Oh yeah, Anna, you wanted to speak about one of them, didn't you? One you thought might apply to yourself?
Yeah, again, I don't want to sound too inward focused.
Not at all. I mean,
And it might not even be anything. I'm grasping, I think.
it can't help but to explore the idea. I mean, we certainly didn't expect the story of the two brothers to apply to Whisky and Ryohn here when we first read it.
That's for sure.
And if it doesn't apply to you, it may apply to someone else in the group, or it just might be something to look out for in the future. As far as I know, each story has some grains of truth in it.
Well, the one that I'm kind of hung up on is the children's tale. It's not so much a story. It's something that when I was a kid, and I don't know about others, but it was kind of a way to learn the months, and it was kind of based on this little cute story. But again, I might just be. I might be unbasis on it, but I don't know.
What makes you think it relates to your past exactly?
Well, as you can see, she kind of just gestures to her arms, like I'm pretty fair-skinned. It's kind of how some subspecies of elves, I guess you could say, we don't do well with a lot of light, but don't have a lot of pigment, I guess you could say. And I don't know, it seemed very. I appreciated this albino goblin in the story in terms of the traveling. She didn't seem shackled by a lot, and that's how I like to live my life. But that might just be from upbringing. Again, it might not be anything. It's hard to say, but
The idea certainly has appeal, but I don't know if I could wander about on my lonesome like that.
Done it for almost 20 years, in all honesty.
Oh wow. Yeah, this traveling with you all is the first time I ever really traveled anywhere, and can't say I can imagine what not having friends and companions traveling with you would be like. Or I would like it.
Well, I mean, I guess to be more clear, there were obviously a couple people from here and here and there, but a lot of my own time is just that. And then traveling from the upper mountains, the Dunrock Mountains, all the way down and around to get to Rosanna, where I met you all.
Yeah, that's quite the distance.
Yeah. Not to mention this particular copy that we got, story-wise, is ancient Elvish in terms of how the original text here.
I suppose that is a small kernel of I could see the association. Anything else in the story stick out to you at all? Or rhyme, however you called it?
Yeah, it's a children's tale. It's not so much a rhyme. It just is like it's a way to remember the months and the events of. I mean, just the fact that there are involving time and events and things like that. It kind of already appeals to me, and this is something that I mean, I spent my early childhood in Vice's Teal and up in the Greyland Wildlands, my whole life. Kind of a lot, I guess, there. Yeah, I don't know. This might be, again, nothing, but her journey was in the Wildlands for most of the story, if not all of it. I don't know where some of these particular locations are, but I know, broadly, a lot of them are up in the Wildlands. So.
What about the rest of you? Does anything in this story stand out to you, either as something you can recall or recognize?
I would have to read it again, but not that I can think of right offhand.
Fairly certain it doesn't mean me.
It might not mean anyone. It was... Yeah, don't worry about it. That's... probably nothing.
I believe Willam had some insight into this the last time you had this conversation.
Yes.
Willam does not specifically call. He and he crashes. But if he needs to, I'll let me know.
But Willam seems to only be half paying attention and just kind of keeping to himself. If you'd like to pull him into the conversation, then feel free. Otherwise, you can leave him to himself.
I.e., dinner is here, so I'm crashing.
Well, maybe if nothing else, we should try to keep an eye out on some of these locations, or maybe the next town or city we get to be in. We by a more accurate map of Jorhas, or at least of the area. But something to ponder, if nothing else. So, me and Nona are taking the first watch. What about the rest of you? Who wants to take second or third?
I'll grab second.
I'll grab second as well.
I was doing third, so I can do that.
I'll grab third with Whisky.
All right then.
Grolyd looks at something of a loss at the idea that he will not be taking a watch. If for all of you who have played Destiny, he's doing the confused emote, his hands out, looking both ways. Huh?
Just gonna stay up
Like,
anyway.
It's day. Enjoy.
That's where the fearless leader can revel in how proud he is of his group.
There it is. There you go.
All right. Well, first watch. You can go ahead and make perception checks.
Yep. I will also be staying in my bubble. That doesn't pop.
As those two come up, second watch, go ahead and make your perception checks. And then when those two come up, then third watch, same thing. Just so I've got them here and I'll have to call for them later.
Nona sees nothing.
Nona has a lot of things on her mind right now, and looking around is not one of them.
Yep.
Oh, that's a non-capital C link.
All right. The picks with 13 and a Nona natural 1 for a 4. Nona's got herself stationed with her back comfortably up against the little makeshift tower thing and is staring at the mountainside and not the open fields.
Can't tell that she's staring at the mountainside. Actually, she's staring off over the cliff. She doesn't see anything.
She's just staring. She's not really even registering what she's saying.
She's
could be
reflecting on the caravan.
Pix, you have a little better setup and lay of the area from whatever vantage point you decide to take. It's definitely getting colder again, but you imagine this is not a magical effect. It's just sun's gone down. Yeah. So it's not getting unnaturally cold, but it's a little chilly, and you kind of wrap your blanket or your cloak up a little bit warmer, tighter around you. You're hearing the natural sounds of the owls, the nocturnal creatures coming out. Every once in a while, see the scurry of some type of creature. There's a slightly different fauna to this particular region as you're getting a little further out of the mountains and a little bit warmer terrain. So just nice to change the pace from the travel that you've had and the creatures that you've seen. And you're far enough out of the area, you also have not really, to your recollection, spotted sturges in about the last day or so. So that's something.
Good. Yeah.
But as far as you can tell, your evening passes uneventfully.
All right.
Second watch was Awna and Link.
Correct.
Yep.
All right, Awna. As you are prone to do during your evening hours, you find yourself keeping decent watch, but keep drawn to the night sky. And the clouds seem to, during the course of your watch, open up a little bit. And you see the vastness of an entirely new area of this continent. So this exact body of stars and arrangement of stars, not really anything that you've had the opportunity to take in, at least without having some sort of urgency behind you. You can fully appreciate this for what it is. And as you're watching, kind of tracing one of them, you see a star begin to just rocket across the sky. It's a shooting star, and you see it's moving toward the north. And your eyes are focused on that for a while until it disappears. And it's kind of like the magic eye when your eyes are kind of out of focus and you start to see something different from what was there a moment ago. And you're actually watching as the constellations begin to take almost like a three-dimensional shape. And you feel yourself just being drawn up in to the middle of them, and suddenly the stars are surrounding you and swirling around you in this three-dimensional geometric pattern all over the place. New constellations you've never really seen before, old ones that are very familiar to you. All of them seem to be more connected than you ever realized, as you're able to kind of be in the middle of it, and you're looking at it from a different perspective, and you realize this one particular constellation from our vantage point, they're not even, hundreds of millions of miles away from each other from a different perspective. And so when you look at it from a different angle, then suddenly all of these other ones form a much better, much more accurate constellation than what you were ever used to seeing from your old vantage point here on Wildemount. It's really overwhelming, but at the same time, it's extremely powerful, both to see the interconnectivity of things, but also to understand that looking at something from a completely different perspective gains you new insight, but also sometimes shatters everything that you knew about your previous, conceptions of things. And you're drawn into it, and you realize, oh, these are not just stars. These are not just constellations. These are connection points. This almost like this endless corridor of points that connect. And from any perspective, any spot that you're sitting in, you're almost at this nexus of connectivity to all things. It's very reminiscent of when you took a peek into the Luxon, or as I know, and no one else does, that you do every single morning when you wake up. And it's almost as if you're experiencing that without having to stare into this crystal on its own, that you're just kind of in the middle of this and free floating and watching everything swirl around you. The cosmos seems to be yours for the taking, but at the same time so far away that it's almost ungraspable. And you're continued to being drawn into that, and you're realizing this corridor, you could walk in any direction and find yourself on seemingly an infinite number of planes at the same time. The shadow plane, the Feywild, the ethereal plane, all of these, and even ones that you didn't realize existed. It's, again, this overwhelming sensation, but at the same time, this awe of what you're experiencing. And everything seems to kind of overlap and slightly just kind of be disjointed at the same time. And then suddenly everything explodes into a flash of light. There's a loud cacophony of sounds. And the last thing you remember as your focus kind of comes back into the present is just the sound of marching feet. And then nothing. And you're back to where you were. Other than that, Link, you and Awna, your watch is uneventful. But Awna, that would probably be around the tail end of your watch, should you choose to mention that to anybody.
And I will. She needs to think about this first.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot to contemplate.
All right. Whisky and Ryohn with a 12 and a 20. Ryohn, you would notice pretty quickly, similarly to what Link has actually picked up on, and Link probably would make a mention of it. This particular rock base that you've got actually has some pretty cool looking caves and tunnels and corridors. Ryohn, the adventuresome part of you, the part that seems to get yourself into trouble a little bit, is kind of curious where some of these go, but you know it's not necessarily, it's going to take you into the heart of the mountain itself. And as far as you know, the group is wanting to go around it. But it's at least worth a note that there seems to be pathways and small cave entrances. None of them seem to actually be utilized or have anything coming in and out of it. But it looks like at some point either animals or some type of humanoids may have potentially used it. At least for tonight, it doesn't seem to have any activity. Link, you would have picked up on this as well.
Huh. I'll show it to Whisky.
You get the
This shows things that live here.
This is probably one of the ruins that we've been wondering about.
Ruins or runes? I didn't quite get that.
Ruins, fallen buildings.
Well, I said that before, yes. Everything around here is fallen.
And we're
It's
in.
almost like the destruction of the dragon brought down these things. I'm not sure. I'm not really up on history. There wasn't like a library.
Yeah, they said the dragon brought everything down.
It's a lot of death. Lot of death.
All from one creature, no less.
Yeah, the thought of how powerful he was. What? Nothing to say?
Actually, I did have something I wanted to say, and probably should do it before everybody gets up in the next couple minutes, but it's hard to apologize for my previous lives, but I feel like I need to, even though there is no possible way to apologize for killing you. But
How do you know I didn't kill you?
well, you know, at least the most recent one, I killed you.
That's not the reason. I'm not sure what is reason. Don't apologize for what you don't know you did.
But that being said, I wanted to...
Whisky, actually make a history check.
Nope.
Stop yelling.
I'm yelling.
Everyone's got their caps on.
Ah,
Hells no.
third time lucky.
He thought real hard.
Whisky,
mind.
you're pretty sure, based on what you experienced and what everybody had to explain to you about those visions in whatever that place was that you found the white dragonborn.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the last death was almost it seemed like a mutually assured destruction. That you both essentially killed each other in the same battle. And as you're kind of pondering this, and you again remember what was told to you about it, it also kind of strikes you as, hey, that description sounds a lot like not too far outside of Blumenthal.
Which is why we reincarnated. Well, I would say reincarnated.
It's comparable, yes.
But
Ryan, I would say that we both killed each other the last time.
well, I don't want that to ever happen again, so I want to make a pact with you right here and now.
I don't make pacts.
Well,
Because
I'm
I
making one with you, and I
Ryan,
throw
you don't
my
know if you can keep it. Please, you don't know if you can keep it.
I throw my spell book on the ground, and I cast my forgot the bonfire. Cast bonfire on it.
Whiskey, you watch
doing?
as this is the tome that he's held on to that basically holds all of his warlock spells that he was given by some sort of entity. You don't really know the full story, but this is like his dark, mysterious book that nobody's allowed to look at but himself, type of thing. And he's just set this thing on fire.
So my
I make
question
this
is,
pact
does
with
it
you now.
actually burn?
I will.
It seems to go up in flames very quickly. Yes, you
I
can
will
see
never
the
try to
pages
kill you again.
curling and darkening, blackening, and eventually there's just the binding of the leather, and it's taken a little bit longer to burn, but there's no parchment left.
I know she said it was a new beginning, but once again, we are headed towards something I'm not sure we can handle. Deal with it when we get there. Aim to walk headlong into disaster after disaster and survive. Oh. I mean, thank you. But here we sit amongst thousands cities destroyed, brought down from the sky. Livelihood, families utterly ruined. As a bard, this bothers me because of that history. I wouldn't even dare pick it as a fear of what I'm. This is a kind of a somber time. They lost so much. And then I get to go home to a fun inn, and and these people still listen. The best I can do is let the world know that I know they don't want it. They have to understand that we did.
I was thinking a lot about what Awna said to me earlier about being the
I wasn't listening.
bridge.
But a bridge? Like we can walk on you?
Kind of. I would help support you. And
What?
not only that, but I want to promise that I will always be there for you.
You've always been the broken bridge.
And it's a time of change, so hopefully
Don't just don't come and be all over me. You've been walking with these people for a long time. They need to.
Oh no, I'll be helping them as well, but I've never killed them before, as far as I know.
It's always time. No, I'm just. I can't say what the future holds. I can't say what we're going up against. We'd be going up against such evil that you actually get your mind controlled, or we get our minds controlled. We don't know. And then we have to turn around and tell your families that we're sorry we killed you. That's even. I just hope your sister utilizes, and then I can make it back to see her again. Hear her.
Whiskey and Ryohn, make a perception check as you're having this conversation.
There's a creature looking.
16 for me.
Yeah, there's a third entity sitting there nodding their head and saying, "Yes, I agree with you."
Yeah, it's actually the whole party is woken up and we're all just staring at y'all.
And
Since
then Grolyd goes, I hope there's not going to be any crying.
since Ryan set something on fire, yeah.
Great.
Whiskey, you look down at what the tattered remains of that tome, and there seems to be something shiny in the ashes.
If you think I'm touching it, I'm not. Ryan, look at the tome. I'm not touching it.
Oh, hey, what's that? I'll reach down and pick it up.
There's the long silver
Black
chain.
dagger?
The long silver what?
It's a long silver chain, and at the end of it is a small little pendant that is a teardrop in shape. Inside, it seems to be some sort of clear liquid, and the only reason you know that there's any liquid inside is that it seems like also in there, dotted with flecks of gold, and the gold just seems to be swirling almost like a snow globe inside this pendant. Outside of that, there's nothing but ash left of this book.
You do realize, Ryan, that your curiosity one day is going to be your death. That came out of an evil book you just burned and had no thought about picking it. I would have waited for Awna or Pix to actually. I would have waited for Awna or Pix to actually check it before I picked it. It came out of a book. Too much tears, for all we know.
I mean, I've had the book on me for how long, and it's never hurt me, but most of my hurt was caused by my own decisions.
Maybe
pointed
influenced
out
by the
plenty of times.
by the person, not with no influence by the person who actually was behind the book. I think.
I have no idea, but I'll have them check it out. It's about time to wake him up anyway.
Sun's coming up. Let him sleep till the sun comes up. These people have been through hell.
Ryan, as you're holding on to this item, you seem to inherently know exactly what this is. And both of you actually hear just a soft whisper in your minds of, no longer are you tied to the tome. This new pact and this new path that you've chosen ties you to this talisman and to me. And both of you know exactly who this voice is.
But that makes me.
You still want me to have them check it?
Don't know. That's up to you now.
So Ryan will actually have them check it before he does anything with it, just because some people need that extra layer of assurance.
Fair enough.
Make sure you tell Awna or Pix, hey, this came out of my burnt evil tome.
Sure. I'll make sure
Well,
I
they
do.
need to know as well. I mean, I'm just the bard.
As you go and begin to wake everyone up, I need to update a few other people on the goings on in their dreams. First one is Willam. You hear,
Go ahead.
as you sleep, just a simple, clear call from the visage of a beautiful but scarred figure. It's hard to make out. You can see the beauty behind all of the scarring itself. And it seems to be flying, but with great difficulty. And as you kind of try to focus on the struggle, you realize it's only got a singular wing. but the struggle seems to be kind of superseded or overshadowed by just the clear call. It's not desperate, it's not needy, it's just direct. And you hear, "Champion, I have need of you." And that's it. And fades back out. Grolyd. Some point during the night, you look down and you see a very familiar dagger in your hand. And you panicked. You look around. You also recognize a fairly recent area that you were traveling in. Everything is gray. Everything is drab. It seems like there is no sun. There's just kind of an endless semi-darkness to everywhere you're traveling. You're fairly certain you're somewhere in the Shadowfell. You're traveling with a group of companions, a couple of drow, a couple of other travelers, but your closest companion, closest ally is a red-skinned fiend of some sort. He keeps his cards close to the vest. His actual origin you're uncertain of, but at least in this place, he's allowing his true form to appear. Long horns jut out and curve from the front of his forehead, but this is not a tiefling. You can tell he is almost pure fiend. Some have referred to him as a cambion. And you look over at him and he nods and says, "This is the place." And you glance around at where everything's being set up, and there's some sort of an altar here. Again, Shadowfell locations are a little bit hard to get a beat on, but you realize that there's this thing in your hand is about to make a sacrifice of sorts, because that seems to be kind of what you do with this. And he looks over you and says, "Everything is ready." And it occurs to you the one thing that seems to be missing is the person that is typically tied up and struggling and being placed on the altar. But before you have an opportunity to even question where that person is, you hear this person, the red-skinned fiend, lean in a little closer and quickly disarm you, take the dagger from you, and just plunge it directly into your heart. And you hear the voice say, "Now, all we need is a sacrifice." And the last thing that you remember before you wake up is the promise that you made to yourself in that past life, that one day you would kill Oban. Nona.
Yep.
You scream as there's a flash of light. Anybody who is actually around Nona will have actually heard this scream, but nothing further. There's a flash of light. There's an explosion. You hear screaming all around you. You look around and you give your husband a kiss. You see your child and you give them a hug and you urge them to run as fast as they can. You say, "I'm going to do my best to hold off whatever this is so you can get away." Your husband hesitates for a moment, but eventually takes your child's hand and rushes off. You decide, "I'm going to stay behind. I need to deal with this. And in the back of your mind, something says, I need to deal with this because this is my fault. And you rush forward into what seems to be a bloodbath as everyone else is running past you, away from you. And you're looking for any type of way to defend yourself. But you're being overwhelmed by the mass of creatures that are pouring in. You're struggling at this point, using magic, using any type of improvised weapons you can pull off of bodies. Nothing seems to necessarily stem the tide. And then everything just goes dark. And you can feel the blood slowing as it's pouring out of you. And the last thing that you hear before you wake up is a very metallic sounding laugh.
Okay, that's different.
And that's about the point that Ryohn and Whisky start waking all of you up. You go to nudge Grolyd and realize that Grolyd doesn't seem to be where you last left him.
Is he sleepwalking?
Make a perception check.
Hanging out with Nona.
15. You're trying to figure out where he might have gone to, and you see they're still in his like sleeping bag. There's still like a lump in the sleeping bag itself.
Oh God. I will have to undo the sleeping bag and look.
Okay. There's something large and bulky there in the sleeping bag. Very large, but there's nothing that you can see. You're bumping up against something. Grolyd, you wake up and Whisky seems to be accosting you in your sleeping bag.
And I actually Whisky. So I don't actually see Grolyd.
You do not see Grolyd at the moment.
I'm going to be yelling, help, help, help. Something's happened to Grolyd.
So if you are not awake yet, you are now hearing Whisky yelling this.
What? Grolyd? Whisky?
Rushes over.
What's going on?
What's happened to Grolyd? And I point to his sleeping bag.
Yeah, Whisky points to a bedroll that he's like thrown the blanket part off, and there doesn't seem to be anyone there.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic.
Oh crap, I didn't see him leave.
Do you feel, Whisky, a breeze of air as it moves past you? Almost kind of feels like someone tried to punch you but missed horribly.
Yeah, there's just a woof.
Okay, I stepped back far enough. I let everyone else deal with the situation.
Pix, you're definitely picking up some sort of illusory magic in that area.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing.
And all of you are hearing, the typical grunts and groans of a waking Grolyd.
Startled waking Grolyd.
Grolyd, are you there? Grolyd.
What kind of asinine question is that? Of
Yeah,
course
you're
We can't see you, you moron.
Yes, you're covered in illusory magic, almost like you're invisible, I think.
I can see myself, or can I tell that I'm invisible?
Both.
You can't see yourself. So you are. That's
It'd
crazy.
be hard to work if you couldn't see yourself when you're invisible.
It takes a brief second, but as that flailing punch misses, you do see Grolyd kind of flicker back into existence.
Because he attacked. Okay.
Yeah, I had to look up the rules and make sure that it didn't have to be a successful attack.
And I'll drop the detect magic. Grolyd, since when could you turn invisible?
Yes.
I thought that was my bailiwick.
Didn't could.
Oh.
And he starts looking around for what did it to him.
Well, certainly wasn't me, and I don't think Ryohn did it.
I look down at the talisman and wonder.
And yeah, I'm actually looking around for, well, actually, before I bother, I am looking around for like any tracks that lead up to me specifically, but I'm also, while doing it, has anybody been in here? Happen on the watches?
Nothing
No,
happened
we were
on
awake.
my watch.
No.
We're inside the bubble still, right?
Yeah.
It probably would have dropped at this point.
Right?
Yeah, it's probably fallen at this point, but the bubble was up the whole night. I recast it before we started watches.
And do you want any kind of a roll to see if I make a connection between the dream and Shadowfell and what just happened? Or do you want me to wait on that?
I will let you infer what you would like from that.
Would Grolyd have any indication that that would even be a thing?
I would say that based on the recollection that you had, if you're interpreting that as a memory of some sort, along with that, you do recall previously having this capability.
And Grolyd has a look on his face that y'all might not have seen, or maybe only once before, but he looks afraid.
Yeah, I kind of thought you might be going that way. I'll repeat. Grolyd, you okay? You don't look yourself. What happened?
Haven't had a dream in ages.
You too?
Dreamt of the Shadowfell and of the end of what I am fairly certain my last life.
Oh. Obviously, it wasn't good based on your expression and where you were.
I'm sure his last life was pretty good.
Oh,
Well, you just said it wasn't good, Vix? I mean,
Well, I mean, he certainly
It
doesn't
definitely wasn't.
look good.
oh, you mean the dream itself,
Yes, that's what I meant.
not his past life.
My past life, good.
it could have been a memory from it.
It was. I was betrayed by somebody.
Oh.
Well, I probably deserve person.
All right.
Well,
Suffice it to say that the dagger was taken from me. I was sacrificed.
oh.
That's why you don't like the dagger, isn't it?
Dagger is a powerful artifact of the Riz.
Nona looks scared at that word. That means.
I don't have any other like the dagger, but yes.
You said a point there.
Creeping doom, eh?
Anyone else drink?
Yes. Nona sits.
No, I didn't.
What? Are you all right, Nona?
Yeah, what was your dream about, Nona? I didn't see you sleepwalking.
Yeah, that's unusual. Normally that happens, and it wasn't the same dream as normal.
Oh,
No. There was a flash of light, and then there's explosions, and a man and a child I knew as mine. My husband? My child? Told him to go. Run. I had to hold it off. It was my fault. I had to hold it off. I was fighting with any weapon I could find and magic. And then dying. Metallic laughing while I was dying.
Was that here in the Luna?
Here, yeah, tonight.
No, I mean, did you die here before in the ruins?
I don't think it was here.
And Nona, the setting is exactly where it always is.
It's where it always is, from what I can tell, but it's the same place as my dreams always are, but this was different.
Fix kind of froze and his feathers kind of ruffled a bit. Metallic laughing.
Yeah, metallic laughing.
Oh,
Don't freak out, Pip.
I'm less freaked out and more concerned.
Why?
Well, considering the only metallic things that we've come across seem to be related to my past lives, I'm just worried what all can mean, especially if whatever it was laughing at your death.
It means we're all connected in some way.
Yeah.
From our past lives is what it means. To think that all this is just coincidence, not possible.
What did you dream of, Willam? Wrath.
I feel rather. My dream was nothing like either of yours. He almost looks sorry, apologetic. Saw an angel, scarred, badly scarred, yet somehow flying on a single wing. And said in a voice that was not frightened or upset, but in one that had power of calmness. And she called the champion, I have need of you. And then I heard you and woke.
Hold on.
That's exciting.
Certainly
That
interesting.
is the first time I ever recall having that.
A scarred angel with one wing.
Salaka.
An angel.
Celestial, I believe. That's her soul.
You're the one you follow.
The one I heard, but not in the way you would have kitty, more like the way a knight might serve a lord. Swear fealty to. By all accounts, she fell in the battle with the dark gods, struck by a fiend's blade, and spent untold years wounded and unconscious on the world recovering. Celestials don't, just die away the way a lot of. But when she recovered, rather than try to return to her plane or anything like that, he stayed here, and by all accounts, does what I do. That's why I revere her. That's why I follow her. That's why many of my friends in the Wasteland Knights, same thing. She could go back, could find her way back, but she stays to help us mortals.
Now she has need of you.
She's everything we want to be. Apparently she does. But as I said, her voice was not urgent. There was no trouble in her voice. It was more like certainty. As if to say,
come when you can.
You're destined to come here, but there's no need to rush it. When you're destined to come here, you will come here.
Fair enough.
Still, I think I better look at that story we found. I'm almost positive that leads to her look. That is a guide to her location. If we happen to be moving the direction he's in, when we're there, I'll find her. But your two visions seem much more urgent and much more dire. Focus on that.
Did the way Nona described that remind me of my recurring nightmare, or not really?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Did anybody else dream tonight?
Thankfully, no.
Didn't dream, but experience.
What is your experience?
Meaning, Ryan burned his book.
Oh.
And found a surprise in it when we were done. I hold up the talisman.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, interesting.
I would like somebody who can identify or kind of explain exactly what it is, just so Whisky doesn't feel like it came from an evil book and that it's evil itself.
I heard her voice. I know it's not, but it's interesting that it did. Maybe it holds something special that you...
Well, that book that you had, that was that was sort of like your gift from your old patron, right?
It was a grimoire. It held several spells and would eventually have more.
Right.
But that was my old me.
Right. Then perhaps this, you called it a,
A talisman.
Oh, it's a talisman? Okay, I thought it was an earring. Maybe that's the physical sign of this new pact that you have.
I believe it is, because I actually did make a pact with Whisky last night, and suddenly that was in the ashes.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure what all I would be able to get off of it that you couldn't already.
Just confirmation that it's not evil.
You mean it's like the replacement for the book with the new...
Yes, that's sort of what I'm getting at. It serves a similar function, although probably has different properties. I imagine that there's some intrinsic knowledge that you have of it, right?
Yes, and I'm sure if I sit down and concentrate on it, but I was just looking for a third-party confirmation, just give Whiskey a better feel for it.
Have to understand, he killed me last time.
Well, I mean...
Actually, we killed each other.
Oh. Okay. Well, I don't think that'll be a problem this life, and hopefully not any others if this pact that you made with each other is anything to go by. But I mean, I can certainly give it a look if it'll ease some minds. Don't know much of anything I'll get off of it, though.
I hand it over to Pix to look at.
If you don't mind waiting a little bit longer, okay.
No, I think a little bit of a wait would be okay to settle.
All right.
Go
And,
for Grolyd.
I'll ritual cast identify on the this talisman.
Okay.
Again, not really sure what all I'll actually get off of it, but
it seems to give you celestial energy.
okay.
Some type of divine. It's a strange swirl. There's almost like a hint of divination, and at the same time, maybe evocation.
Okay. All right. Well, I was right. I can't make too much of it. But you'll be happy to note it's mostly made of celestial divine magic. So no worries there. It's seems to have some properties of divination and evocation. So should be interesting, but I don't think it's anything to worry about.
All right, thanks, Pix.
Welcome.
Pix, it was more inherent than identification. You did feel like while you were holding on to the item that you were more capable of accomplishing tasks than otherwise. But it wasn't something that really came up in an identify as if it were a magical item. It almost seemed to be...
But like now that it's gone, I've noticed a sudden...
Yeah, something along those lines, that you've noticed that upsurge has dissipated now that you're no longer holding it.
Yeah. Oh, that's odd. And like as soon as I finish giving it to you, Ryan, it's like, oh, interesting.
What?
Well, I didn't. It didn't really come up in the spell, but while I was holding on to that, my thoughts were clear. I felt more capable, I guess you could say. And I didn't really notice it until I gave it back. So maybe that's something either you or someone else. I think either you or someone you give it to can make use of the spells, if maybe at varying levels.
Ryan, he's already explaining everything that, like I said, you inherently know. Yeah, he's just confirming it for you.
All right, that's kind of what I was gathering from it too. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I figured you'd know enough of it on your own, but again, glad I can be of help.
Or anybody unfamiliar mechanically, whoever is wearing this talisman can add a D4 to an ability check if you fail it, and possibly turn the roll into a success. And what is your proficiency bonus right now, Ryan? +3?
Yes.
So it can be used 3 times, up to 3 times per day.
Is everyone okay to move on?
I'm ready to go if everyone else is. Looking over at Grolyd to see if he's shaking it.
Yeah.
No reason to wait.
All right.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. You all set out to the north. Awna, I'm assuming you're joining as well?
Yep.
Okay. You set out further to the north, well, at this point, almost directly east of you. It takes just a couple of hours before you're leaving quite a bit of the cold behind. You now have more of a natural winter type of feel as you continue traveling. You still have mountains to your north largely, but again, just nice open field for the most part to the east and to your south at this juncture.
Oh, I'm so glad we're finally out of all that cold.
There's a really uneasy, like sometimes you guys travel without a whole lot of conversation. Today, it's a very uneasy sense of anytime anybody possibly wants to bring something up, they look around at everyone else and everyone seems to be lost in thought. Some very pensive, some still with this hint of fear on their faces of either what they're about ready to walk into or what they experienced overnight, possibly both. It's a very somber is not quite the word, but it's close. It's a very pensive group as you travel.
Willam looks absolutely.
What was that?
Except for Willam, who looks absolutely calm.
Oh yes. Yeah, you have your eyes set on some sort of destination. Yes. Yeah, anybody who hasn't traveled with this group would be very disconcerting because, like I said, you're already fairly quiet travel group anyway.
Yeah.
But now there's just nothing.
Fix is going to bring out Harry and kind of make his way over to Nona. And it's like, Harry,
anybody else doing or having any sort of conversations prior to rest for tonight?
I think I'm good for today.
Same.
All right, I assume you're doing watches?
Of course.
before we start those, tiny hut.
Okay, fair enough. All right, who's taking first watch?
Me.
Go ahead and roll those perception checks.
I'll take it also.
Okay.
I actually do remember what I was thinking. As for how far south he's ranged, Grolyd has probably actually been as far south as the entrance to the ravine at least once. Has never entered as it's outside of his. There's a peoples there that may not have wanted him there.
Sure.
But he's been down through the Lotus Den Greenwood.
Okay.
He's ranged this whole area.
Yeah, that's probably why you know Charis, even though it's small, is that you've likely been there before. All right, a 21 for Nona and an 18 for Willam. This area seems to again be fairly quiet, which is a nice reprieve. Again, not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And as your watch ends, you wake the second group, which was who?
I'll go.
Pix and I are, or not Pix. Whisky and I are last.
If they had said they would take third watch together, then Grolyd would be on second.
Okay, me and Grolyd.
All right, go ahead.
Grolyd is still preoccupied.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Pix. The only thing that really is noticeable to you is the fact that Grolyd, who's usually very on top of things, seems to be getting distracted. You didn't necessarily notice it before, but again, kind of rubbing that a spot on his chest off and on every once in a while, kind of like staring at the back of his hands, and then turning his hands over like he doesn't quite fully recognize his own hands. Doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of like watching around, and it's very out of character for him.
Okay. Grolyd, how are you? You don't seem yourself. No. You know,
It's an endearing trait. It's not working at getting us killed.
right, but I don't know. I've just always wanted to look for things. Pick around at them, you know? It's just something I've like, I see something that looks interesting, I want to take a look at it. Examine it. Maybe take it myself.
Well, everything except for that last point is perfectly good. Curiosity is what drove me to do as much reading as I've done, or at least in part.
Yeah, no, the third one's gotten me into more trouble than I care to admit.
I can imagine.
But even with those things, even with what's I felt better being with you all. There's really the bad precedent to compare things people don't quite understand, but I'd like to imagine that we can help you through whatever you're going through right now.
I'm not used to having help. I'll work through it. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I'm not really noticing anything. So maybe we'll have another quiet night.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, Grolyd, out of character. Grolyd grabs Pix by the arm and makes him knock on a tree.
Grabs Pix by the arm and knocks him against a tree.
It's called a woodpecker.
Yeah.
Depends on what part of him he knocks.
Grolyd does give you a slight look as you say that.
What?
Right.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
And Grolyd is more paranoid now and is making more of a watch. His 10 still stands, but he is now on the ball.
I hear rolling of dice from the DM. Random encounters.
Eventually, your watch passes,
Okay.
and you turn things over to Whisky and Ryohn.
Who let everybody come play in the area and don't even notice it.
Because it's our fault. Whiskey's actually just going over the events that happened during the day.
Sure, makes sense.
Well, he almost got clocked by Grolyd. You know, just out of nowhere, he swung at him, so. Whiskey's minds. Learned about that.
Ryan walks over to Whiskey and holds out his hand. You should be the one to wear this since you're the one I made the pact with.
Excuse me, it came out of your book.
Yeah, but it's not for me.
Yes, it is.
It's not going to help me like it will someone else.
If it was for me, I'd have handed it. Bad things come from taking things that aren't.
Fine.
What it is, Ryan. Got a lot on my mind. I understand you're trying to turn over. Just turn it. Show everybody. No talk.
And the rest of the night goes quietly.
Until the army attacks.
Morning comes. Whatever may or may not have happened went unnoticed. Next morning, Grolyd, even more paranoid than he was the day before, probably is the first one up and sitting there waiting for everyone else to be ready to travel. That's my guess.
Why are you taking so long?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's AFK for a quick sec.
Just waiting for his tribe to come find him.
But yeah, dawn definitely pressed the horizon. You see a lot more foliage off in the distance as the sun is kind of casting fresh light on an area that was kind of hard to see by the time you made camp.
I look for Harry. See where he ended up.
He's in the same tree. He basically stayed in all night. He would keep coming back to those to that after going and grabbing a mouse or whatever, and he'd keep coming back.
All right.
You realize that particular location gave him a clear vantage point of the hut, but also the area around it.
Okay. But yeah, once we're ready to go, I'll let him know in case whether he flown off already at that point or not.
No, he's just sitting there watching.
Oh, okay. But then, yeah, when we're ready to go, I'll kind of wave over.
All right, fair enough.
And as we're all breaking camp for the morning, Grolyd will say, so to the east-northeast, there is a village called Charsis. Dragonborn and halfling make their home there. about half and half by way of population. Small village, but if we wanted to see if there was anything going on in the area, that would probably be our next closest population center. If we wished to avoid the Lotus Den Greenwood, then north is a village, Dodefir, the village of hill giants, probably the closest of the actual villages from the hosts.
Either one you would recommend?
Oh, Charis is closer, and if we're looking to restock rations, we could probably do that there.
Might as well suit the locals.
Charis it is then.
Now, you mentioned wanting to avoid this Lotus Wood. Is there any particular reason we would want to?
No, but not that there's nothing odd or unsavory about the look then, is there?
It's kind of a weird place. I mean, that's where a lot of those halflings came from, and they tend to err on the side of, well, Awna would fit in well there. Let's put it that way.
So yeah, it's an unusual wood. It's not necessarily any more or less dangerous than any other forest, but if there was a reason to wish to avoid a forest, then I just thought I'd bring it up.
Grolyd, the descriptions that they've given of the Savalier wood, that's kind of how people treat the Lotus Den Greenwood in Xhorhas. There are definitely rumors of people eating trees, not people who eat trees, but trees who eat people. And that's kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and I'll mention these. Actually, how much of those do I know to be true?
You're not entirely certain, other than the fact that everybody talks about it's not a haunted thing like what they talked about with the Savalier Wood and corruption. It just is creepy. It's dark, it's eerie, and everything is basically like a forest version of Australia. Everything there wants to kill you.
And so I'll mention that it's
true about Australia too.
I say no more or less dangerous. I guess that's not exactly true. It's maybe slightly more dangerous. There are many rumors, and while I haven't been able to confirm most of them through my travels, it is a bit more dangerous of an area of a forest than your typical forest. Creatures that are more likely to attack, and this is pure rumor, this Lex bit, mind you, but apparently trees who I didn't experience any of that myself.
Well,
just
that's off-putting.
Did you say trees that eat people?
I have spent some time in the Greenwood, and I didn't experience it. But it doesn't mean it's not there, just that I didn't experience it.
Great. Just great.
What do you mean trees that eat people? What?
It's pretty easy concept to grasp, I'd imagine. It's a tree, and it eats people. Again, I haven't actually seen this. Simply rumor. I'm not even sure I believe it to be true. But rumors tend to start from some grain of truth.
Okay.
Again, we can entirely avoid the wood by not going to Charis.
Well,
Yep.
it's closer. I mean, can't be any worse than what we've already come across, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wouldn't go so far as to say that. Everything could always be worse.
oh, he sounds better today.
Says the pessimistic pessimist.
Well,
I just shared a snippet of map there. That green circle is about where you guys made camp. Charis, obviously, east northeast, and then the brown circle, kind of at the southern tip of the mini hosts of Igorthad, would be the closest village. That's the hill giant village of Dodafir. That wouldn't be marked on your map pics, but Grolyd can confirm that's where he was talking about.
okay. Yeah, and I would let him actually mark up the map as we're going. Heck, I'd probably let him have it just to get a better idea of our surroundings.
And yeah, actually, if he hands me his map and asks me to, update it, I will update it with as many of the villages and other notable locations as I can think of.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit harder to do. You're writing on the edge where it's the Here Be Dragons part of the map,
Right.
So as you're looking at it, you're like, none of these formations, and the river doesn't flow this way, and it's not quite right. But you're doing the best you can with the map that you're given.
You were trying to say something, Willam?
No, I'm good.
So, Charis or Dodafir?
Well,
Keep in mind there is a bit of a marsh outside of the Lotus Den that we may have to traverse if we don't wish to come all the way back to the river after leaving Charis.
I say we go with what's closer.
Grolyd, you also know probably from here, rough estimate here to Charis is day and a half, and that's assuming you can find an okay path through the Lotus Den. From here to Dodafir, you're probably still looking at 2.5 days. You guys are going a long way.
Yeah, so Charis is definitely closer. About a day and a half, assuming we can find a good path through the wood. Dodafir is maybe 2.5 days away. And unless we cross the river, we are going to have to march through the marsh.
Well,
Though we can
might as well
hopefully
resupply then beforehand, in case I need something.
out of character, do I know of any good fording points?
You know
river?
you've done it once or twice. Depending on the season, it kind of moves a little bit, but you don't suspect it'll be too difficult to find something that'll allow you to cross.
Okay. Anybody else have any input?
Feed on.
Are we
Yeah, sounds good.
This area, so
are we trying to just get north towards your home, or is there something in Charis that we need?
I think it was more for a resupply than, or
It's a
Intelligence.
it's mostly for exactly those two reasons. If you don't have any reason to stop there beyond that.
Okay.
I don't mind stopping or not.
Grolyd, actually, this makes more sense for Link. Link, make a survival check. And Whisky also, because you're a cartographer. A 20 survival for Link. Stop
Your
yelling.
turn.
Why are you yelling at us?
And 8, Whiskey's probably not fully paying attention to this, having given up on the crappy map and is working on drawing his own. Link, you're hearing this conversation. You take a glance at the map. And while resupplying isn't a terrible idea, just at a glance from the way they're conversing, you're looking at, with your kind of knowledge of terrain and environments, including forest. If it's a day and a half to Charis, it looks like it's probably still 2.5 days from there to that stone giant or the hill giant village. Whatever you may have been resupplying for, it's likely, if that's the only reason you're going, you're just going to lose those same supplies in traveling to and from Charis.
All right, I will share that with the group, letting them know that Charis won't really save us anything.
Oh,
And personally, I'd rather stick to the mountains closer because it's also one of my favorite terrains.
fair. A fair point, Link.
So this isn't the GM trying to railroad you at all. I'm just letting you know that if you're going to resupply, you're basically going to use all of your newly resupplied food items just getting to and from Charis. If you're going there for something else, that's fine.
Well, I mean, okay. I'm okay with skipping Charis then.
Well, if it's going to be a waste of time to track there, track back, then I say we skip it. We can also gain information from another village along the way.
Please don't tell me you're expecting to gain any useful information from hill giants.
Well, I haven't had much
Might be
interaction with them.
surprised.
I have been in the past.
Those surprises were never good.
So to Dodafur,
Seems like.
Eating.
Excellent. All right. So you heading north or are you going east?
Following the mountains to get around them to head to Dodafur.
Fair enough.
If I can find a ford in the river so that we can avoid marching through the marsh, then I will.
Well, let's assume you even get to the river in a day,
Oh, true.
because you're currently trekking around a mountain.
Yes, but that doesn't slow us down because of my favorite terrain.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it is difficult terrain. I'm just saying there's a giant mountain in the way, which means you have to go around it.
Yep, understandable.
Yeah, you guys are fine. You haven't been slowed down at all on any of this travel. Of course, you have also not chosen to travel literally through the mountains either, so there was no difficult terrain to be had. Yep, so you guys are starting out your day, still traveling east a good bit, and then about midday can start to veer back a little further to the north, still keeping the mountain range on your left side as you continue to travel. Who's taking point?
I'll take point this time.
And Grolyd is if somebody else isn't joining Link.
Anybody else up front with Link?
Beer garden.
No,
Actually,
Somewhere
I
in the
think
middle.
Grolyd and Link leading is a good idea.
All right. Fair enough. Both of you guys make your perception checks. All right, 15 and a 16. About middle of the day, when everybody is kind of distracted, pulling out some rations and digging through their bags, both of you up front catch it's kind of a strange little rock formation. Link, you knowing mountains and stuff like you do, catches your eye. Grolyd, the reason this jumps out to you is that it seems like the type of thing you would do in your past life before traveling with people if you wanted to quickly stash something and then remember where you left it.
Do that, Link.
It does look a bit odd. Let's go check it out.
Agreed. And we'll head that direction.
Well,
Keeping
what we thought.
Yeah, and keeping an eye out for, an ambush of some kind.
Yeah, it's not too far off of the little quasi trail that you're on. It looks like a man-made kind of pile of rocks in a way that's sort of arranged in an effort to hide the fact that it's a man-made pile. You know what I mean? Kind of like when you have the plastic rock with the key in it in your garden out in the front of the house, where like if you know what you're looking for, you're like, wait a second, that's not right. Yeah, you go over there. It's not large, so the immediate thought might have been, hey, like bury a body type of thing, but it's not large enough to have been the type of thing where you pile a bunch of rocks up. It seems about half that size.
So it's hiding a halfling.
Do you want to keep an eye out while I work on moving these, or vice versa?
I'll keep an eye out.
And at that, I will start moving the rocks and ask anybody who wants to help to help.
I will help.
All right. Either one of you with advantage or both of you make a strength check, please.
Nona, you may do that with advantage.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Grolyd.
Yeah. Keeping an eye out if you join me.
Do.
Very jerky.
Yay, 22.
It takes you a couple of minutes. It's not that these are overly large. There's just a fair number of them. And eventually you're able to kind of reach down and find like a leather satchel of some sort.
Okay. Here, he hands it to Link.
And I will take it over to Pix, and we will hopefully investigate together. He can check for magic.
Oh, where'd you find that? Oh, right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'll give it a look through.
It's not a lot, but you find there's probably about 32 gold pieces. There are 2 crossbow bolts, so shorter, but they seem to be like super sharp. And a very large potion that looks like it's got a healing concoction inside. You guys have used those enough that you can kind of recognize the liquid inside.
Okay.
This seems to be a couple gulps worth, very likely a superior.
Oh, sweet.
I will go ahead and pocket that.
Hope we're not taking someone good's emergency supplies.
I don't mean to sound snarky, but they really should have hit it better.
I'm with Link here. If they should have done a better job hiding it, if they didn't want anybody coming across it.
Mm.
Are there supplies there that we absolutely?
Oh, we've got some gold. We've got some crossbow bolts. Very sharp-looking ones. May or may not be enchanted. We'll give those a closer look. And a superior healing potion.
We do tend to go through healing potions. Speaking of which, I will need to be keeping an eye out for herbs or making more if you'll help me with that, Awna.
I actually have some. We can work on it together, maybe.
Sounds like a good idea.
And I never say no to gold, so.
You're not muted.
Oh. I'm not sure if taking only one bit of it and not taking all of it would be any better than just taking all of it.
I was keeping the crossbow bolts regardless as well.
Well then, let us, I suppose, continue on our way, unless there's any other reason to search this any further.
You might make an investigation check if you want to make sure you've been thorough.
Sure. Got my pride as a rogue. Or not. Never mind.
That'd be a natural 20 for a 26.
All right.
Ooh.
26, you dig around, toss a few more rocks out of the way. You're fairly certain that what little was in this alcove you have thoroughly stolen. I mean, acquired.
I found the portal to the other plane. Ignore it.
Hey, it's not stealing if we need it more.
Grolyd goes back to the Feywild. No, it's still stealing.
I mean, for all we know, this person could be dead, and therefore it's just leftovers.
If he wasn't, he is now. When he comes for his potion of superior healing and you guys took it, he will be dead.
We're just living off the land. Not our fault we found this on the land.
All right, continuing on.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Hey, pirate Grolyd. We did just find a small, somewhat hidden treasure, so fair.
You continue moving further north, and by mid-afternoon, you finally kind of crested the last bit of mountainous terrain and feel like you can maybe start to veer a little bit more in the western direction if you want to. You can also continue moving just directly north. Up to you.
Wish to marching Mars. Out of character, yes, I am using that MM thing on purpose over and over. We'll want to head west towards the river and hope to find some place that we might ford it. It would add time to our journey, though, as Dodafir is nearly due north from here.
Well, you know this area best, and quite frankly, I don't quite look forward to going through a marsh. So,
how bad is the marsh? I know it's not very big based on what the map says, but
It's you're not 100% certain. It's not the type of place that you have intentionally traveled into much, if at all. And maybe that tells you all you need to know as well, is that you just largely avoided it. So you're not 100% certain. You also know just by way of traveling through a marsh is going to be a little bit slower because of all the mud and potential pitfalls. It's definitely not going to be as fast as traveling through, the plains that you're on right now.
It would add distance to our travel. I'm not sure how much time it would add, so I tended to avoid the marsh. Not so much because I know there to be anything dangerous there, but that marsh travel is slower, more difficult, more dangerous just in the travel itself, and quite uncomfortable. So,
Good
but
enough reason for me.
If we are looking for the most direct route, though, it will take us through the marsh. Let's say the rest of you.
Around the marsh sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll start headed still at a northern. We're gonna go like say north by north, or like just northwest, maybe north by northwest.
Fair enough.
Just to try and not lose too much northerly directional travel, but to eventually come to the river before we get to the marsh.
Gotcha. Fair enough. So over the course of the next hour or so, you do start to put some distance between yourself and your longtime companion, the mountains that you've been traveling nearby. They're still not far away as the sun begins to set, but you actually are able to experience a full sunset for the first time in well over a week, as you see the sun actually disappear beyond the horizon instead of just behind some mountains. But eventually you will have to stop and rest.
Yeah, as the sun starts to set and gets close to the horizon, Grolyd will start looking for a place to camp.
Yeah, you're in a place very similar to the host, which is to say there's just a lot of open field in front of you right now. If you want to make an investigation check to try to find something in particular, go for it. But at a quick glance, it's just large, open, and with occasional vegetation. All right. Anything in particular you're looking for?
Something that looks like it might be defensible, or at the very least easier to hide said bubble in the dark.
There's a small set of maybe 3 or 4 trees, standing a little taller than some of the other ones and a little closer together. If you're looking to hide your bubble, which again, it can be turned in any color you want from the outside. That's probably your best bet rather than just sitting in an open field.
Pix, what do you think about that little stand of trees there for hiding your bubble, giving it a little more cover?
That could work. Plus, it gives Harry somewhere to roost for a bit. That's not too far.
I can set up my hammock.
Sounds like a plan then. And Grolyd will head that direction.
Yep, you're able to make it in, and I assume set up the way you've normally been setting up the last couple of days.
Yep, yep, yep. So what's this Dota Fear place like, Grolyd?
It's the village of hill giants. So larger buildings, lots of less than, not quite highly intelligent individuals. though they don't. Out of character, as I recall, they're not exactly the more violent type, correct?
Yeah, not hill giants. You also know this is actually it's a fairly interesting bit of architecture. They basically have taken entire fallen trees, stripped them of their smaller branches and their leaves, and have used essentially the whole tree crudely fitted together to basically make themselves a hilltop fortress. Nice. And then they've covered it with the bark from said trees and thatch to give themselves a roof.
It's actually I make light of hill giant intelligence, but the design of their village is actually quite defensible. It's yes, they've taken trees. This partly might explain why you see less of them in the area, but entire trees, stripping them of their bark and their branches, and have made a palisade around their village, and then covered that with the bark and from said trees and other vegetation to create a roof over the entire thing.
Oh, interesting.
Quite defensible.
So hill giants typically are pretty stupid and pretty focused on their next meal. That they technically classify as chaotic evil, but it's largely because they're just looking to feed their bellies, and anything that's smaller than them is fair game. But this particular group seems to have some semblance of an actual society with some semblance of actual rules. It's still the type of thing that unless you're traveling there on official business, it's usually better to leave well enough alone, because you just never know their mood or their hunger state. If you were traveling a little too close, you might become their meal, not out of spite, but because they're just hungry.
Yes, we should be aware they're still giant. We may still look like food.
Oh.
Hopefully we'll look like well-armed enough food to deter any aggression, and this particular group of hill giants is a little less likely than your average group to attack, but they're still hill giants.
Oh.
Most people don't go to Dodafir unless they have official business.
Yeah, I don't like this whole thing of becoming food.
Well then, that's yeah.
It is possible to avoid Dodafir as well.
Well,
That sounds like a very good idea.
going to need to resupply at some point.
Yeah, I don't feel like being dinner.
But yes, that's also a very good point.
Do they usually like work with people like us, or
Well, they are a part of the host. Their village is in the loose conglomeration they're in. There might even be an out of character. Grolyd would believe there to be, but if there's not, and Grolyd would know this, let me know. I believe they probably do have an agent of the Bright Queen there. So hopefully that would mitigate their attitudes toward us some as well. But
yeah, at least what you know of the other hosts that you've been to, and you believe it to be true here, at least stories say that it's true. Yeah, the Bright Queen has a handful of Aurora Watch soldiers in each of these 7 villages to help keep the peace and make sure, especially, there aren't squabbles that pop up between the villages in particular. How that works in a city full of hill giants that are too stupid to sometimes recognize friend from foe, you're not entirely certain.
the soldiers, the Aurora soldiers there are more likely some of the hardier of the groupings that were sent by the Bright Queen. And strength tends to make a difference in a society such as Dodafir.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
If we were to, this is out of character, if we were to attempt to avoid Dodafir as well, what would be the next closest village of my knowledge?
That would be Unyethi, which, strangely enough, is a clan of gnolls.
Ooh, too soon.
It's also the one that tends to steer clear of everyone else for the most part and keep to themselves. You have been there before, but again, it was mostly official business and you got out because nobody really wants to be around gnolls except for other gnolls.
And you pronounce it Unyethi?
It's Unyeethi. Unyethi.
Unyethi. Yeah. The next closest village, however, is Unyethi, and I have been avoiding that one. It's a village of gnolls.
Oh.
And they tend to be more... They keep more to themselves than any of the other villages, and you can imagine, I've been there, you can imagine their village is exactly as you might imagine it. It's not a place we'd want to spend any time.
Well, let's go with these hill giants then.
We have a reason to go buy the place.
It is entirely possible for us to live off the land and avoid.
If we weren't going to go talk to the halflings and the dragonborn, I don't see any reason to trouble with hill giants or gnolls.
Grolyd, do you know the next one? If you were to follow the paths, the next one you would come across is called Wrathfall, which is predominantly human and like dark elf outlanders. There's a couple other races represented, but largely human and drow. But they haven't actually joined up with any of the other humanoid clans outside of the mini host, so they kind of just have consolidated here instead. So if you're looking for the best quote civilized type of race you'll come across, it would be Wrathfall, the third village.
The next village after that would probably be Wrathfall, and it's likely the place we'd have the most luck. It's mostly human and drow, though they haven't tended to align themselves with anyone outside of their settlement. It's more civilized than any of the other options we've mentioned thus far.
Sounds like a decent bet then.
Yeah, it sounds like a better bet than the others. And you're right, we can totally hunt.
If you guys want, I mean, I could still make good berries, but we've eaten food with that anyway, so I feel like you guys don't really want it anyway, so we can... It's an option, though, if you want.
Certainly couldn't hurt.
You do also, at least a number of you have those everlasting gobstopper type of thing that you picked up at the candy shop.
I'm actually assuming Grolyd is probably gone at this point. It's been 30 days and he's been using it every day.
So you don't have to eat the trail rations. Nobody's actually discovered that Grolyd is a vegetarian.
That what they call that?
Got a weak stomach. I can't eat meat.
Only eats everlasting gobstoppers.
Yeah.
I'd actually forgotten that.
Yeah, I still have.
I feel like a lot of them went. We went through them pretty fast because of the speed, the time speed at the Halloween hut.
You were still only there for about three days in that world, maybe less than 3 days.
Okay.
I don't remember the total amount of time that lasts. I can look it up to someone to do it.
30 days.
It was 30 days. Yeah. Now, in total, it probably has been not even 30 days yet. Since you've been in that little pocket dimension, you're probably looking at maybe about 20 days since you've been.
Does that include the extra time? Oh, well, no, that was sped up time. So we were there less.
Correct.
Never mind.
Yeah. And yeah, I think 20 days in on this plane, I think is accurate. So you extrapolate that a little bit if you're looking when you were at Link's village probably a month ago.
Okay.
That recently, I would have thought it was a little bit longer.
No, if you guys get around. And then from Link's village back to Blumenthal, and when you first met the Bright Queen, you're looking at maybe another 2 weeks. You guys have only the large portion of you who've been together the longest have only been together for about a month and a half, maybe a little bit longer. Do with that as you will, but I thought I'd give you a little timeline update there.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Let's go ahead. Go ahead and set up the camp for the night.
Yep.
All right, as you do, Grolyd, make a, I don't know the best check for this. I guess make just a wisdom check.
That's a 21.
Nice.
Grolyd, some sort of conversation recently, not within the party, Wrathfall came up as a point of interest / contention. It's gnawing at the back of your mind.
Something that I overheard in like a different group of people talking about?
No, that you directly had an interaction of sorts with someone who mentioned Wrathfall as a possible problem.
Is it something I read in one of my notes from Dahan?
You want to go back and look them over?
I'll take a quick look. Yeah, I'll take a quick look.
Yeah. That's where it was. You looked through it, and there was a mention when you were updating each other on the cults and going to Zarzith Kittrell, having your supposition about potentially what this necromancer may be doing. And he mentioned the thing that you hadn't thought of. It was in this letter. The thing you hadn't thought of about raising the dragon and still having a lich instead of merging the two into a Draco Lich. It was in that letter that he also mentioned the potential of at least hearing rumors Wrathfall may be, or that general area may be the location of one of the other dragon cults.
Yeah, I'm barely remembering this, player wise. Actually headed back through my notes to see if I can find it. But
there wasn't much for that he had to go off of, and he hadn't managed to make a trip out there himself to investigate it. What you know of Wrathfall is that it's just a handful of yurts, and they can kind of pack up and move if they need to. They don't often, but in terms of size and capacity, it doesn't seem like the type of place that could hold that type of thing. Plus, if there's Aurora Watch soldiers in the vicinity, you would think they would have rooted that out.
So just to make sure that I didn't misunderstand what you said, is that the Wrathfall may have been infiltrated by one of these dragon cults.
Yes, to some capacity, the Dahan wasn't able to fully investigate yet. So this is kind of Dahan passing on a rumor he had heard with no substantial evidence.
And as I'm sitting here, everyone will notice that Grolyd actually, something seems to, like a light bulb over his head. He goes into his pack, pulls out a parchment. Remembered something important.
What is it, Grolyd?
Speaking of Wrathfall, Dahan sent me a note some days ago that he has heard rumors that Wrathfall may have been infiltrated by one of the dragon cults.
Oh.
He can't verify that that's true or not, but we're investigating dragon cults. It might be worth our time to look into that. Not sure if that's something we're done with or not. I kind of look over at Ryohn.
I don't think they've gone away, and there's still dragons out there.
Well, I mean, I certainly don't mind looking into it if we can do something to solve it. I mean, leaving something like that alone just is trouble for everyone, even us.
Got to be dealt with eventually.
Mention to him that we're headed that way, see if he can give us any more guidance. And at that, Grolyd will sit down and pen possibly a longer missive than usual, letting him know everything that's gone on. With the finding of the portal to the Shadowfell, actually, as he's writing, he looks up and says, Ryohn.
Yeah.
How much do you want Dahan to know about the crown? Not my place to tell.
I don't know why he can't know.
Now, again, it's my place. It's not my place to tell. It's your story. So I didn't want to just put it down and give any knowledge away that you wish to keep for pride.
I'm not sure that necessarily not that I don't trust him, but it's probably not best to go advertising that we have these items. They are legendary from what I understand.
All right, then.
If it factors in, because it's been a long time since you guys have interacted with Dahan, you guys have been fairly straightforward about most things, except for anything related to vestiges. That, as far as I know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I know, you have not mentioned that that's ultimately what you're doing. Anything else, you told him pretty straight out.
Yeah, no, that jives with what I remember.
Before you pull a pix and recall your familiar that you sent to do something the previous session, thought I'd remind you Otherwise, that may change the course of what's going on. Just heads up.
So yeah, I will leave out the part about the messages, just that we had found a portal to the Shadowfell, and after some time within said Shadowfell, found the way to close said portal and found our way back to this realm. Mention in it the attack of the gnolls. Write down the name of the gnoll for him in case that makes a difference, or he knows anything about it, and how it was almost successful, but that we did finally manage to kill said gnoll, and that we were now traveling to Wrathfall. We remember the rumor that he had mentioned he had heard, and we wondered if he had heard anything new. And I'll roll that up after the ink dries, pop it in the tube.
Fair enough. You hear the thunk. And the pneumatic tube closes, and you open it back up, and like usual, it's gone.
All right. I've sent off a note to Dahan. I have omitted any reference to particular powerful magic items, but let him know roughly what we've done and ask for any more knowledge on what we may find in Wrathfall.
Fair enough.
Anything else you would like to do as you're setting up camp for the night?
I'll start setting up the circle, and again, let Harry know if he needs a bamf out or anything like that to let me know through the bond. But otherwise, I'll get ready to finish casting the spell when we start taking watches.
All right. Anyone else looking to accomplish anything before nightfall?
Once again, going over the story again and trying to put together a schedule almost of where she might appear.
Okay. Let me know if you need help with that. I'm assuming that's just you playing that out and you're just kind of looking over it yourself. Let me know if you need help with that.
Oh, I'm not actually. I don't have it. I'll need the notes and stuff to actually.
Oh, gotcha. It's been linked to a handful of times on here if you want to try to find it.
Not tonight. I'm not going to mess with it. I got to do homework.
I'll send it to you.
And if Grolyd is aware of what Willam is doing, let me know.
He's not hiding it.
I see that you're studying it, but I know that what you're trying to do is find out where she'll be.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
I think he basically has said that out loud.
Yeah, we talked about that before, that I think it's a schedule of where she's.
You, Willam, he says as he notices you're studying in the book again. If you find where you think she'll be at this time or in the near future, let me know where, and I'll see if it's nearby, if I can't plot us a course.
Will do. Because I think I mentioned it there. I didn't get any sense of urgency. It was more a case of get here when you get here. Just know that you're summoned.
Yes, but if we happen to be close and she happens to be near, no reason to avoid it.
True enough.
Yeah, and you both know from having read it a couple times, you're going to have to kind of go out of your way, essentially, to, intentionally or unintentionally, be close enough to go looking for her. This is north of Malaeasmere and Savalier Wood into the frozen northern section up above the Dwendalian Empire. So definitely accessible for sure, but kind of the opposite corner of the continent from where you currently are.
Oh, really? I thought it sounded like it was neat, depending on what time of year it was. She was leapfrogging across the continent.
Leapfrogging across that area. All of those locations are still in the graying wildlands.
Gotcha.
Which probably would exist kind of the same way that what you guys are finding on the outskirts of Pix's map for the Empire. The graying wildlands is close enough that it would at least roughly exist on Pix's map as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Awna's just kind of still taking it in. She might reach out to Whisky when he's done eating. But she's just kind of taking on her pipe, taking some things in.
Okay, I think Whisky stepped away, but
AFK, yeah.
Pix, as you're finishing the casting of the hut and popping that up for the evening, make a perception check, please.
Pix, I think, might also be AFK.
He will be there in 2 seconds to do that check.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. Remind me. Sorry.
Perception check, please, as you're finishing up the casting of the hut.
Alrighty.
And make one for Harry as well.
Sure.
$15 for Pix, and
I think that's right. Wow.
Even with advantage. Okay. Pix, you finish your casting, and just out of the corner of your eye, you see something with multiple legs just scurry off into the brush.
Okay. I'll tell the others. I'm not entirely sure if it's of concern, but I just saw something with multiple legs scurry off into the brush, and the only creature I can think of that has multiple legs, and this Njorhos is, a moorbounder. No.
A moorbounder is like twice the size of you. This would be something very tiny.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. All I had to go on was multiple legs. Oh, and brush. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. All right.
Yeah, by multiple, I mean not a typical four-legged creature.
Gotcha.
Pix, do you mean like a spider?
Are we talking like dinner or something that we need to be worried about?
I don't know, but I can't check it out because if I do, the circle breaks. It could be an insect of some sort. But I would say on your watches, keep an eye out for creepy crawlies, or the brush specifically.
Which direction did it go? I can take a quick look in that direction, see if I see anything.
Can I give him a general direction?
Yeah, you were facing kind of north when you were casting. It was off to your left.
Okay, so over there in the west.
Anybody here to join me as I do a quick look?
Yeah, I'm on my way. And Grolyd will stand up, grab his oar, and actually will take point so that Link can pull out his bow if necessary.
All right, go ahead and make investigation checks.
Well, natural.
Natural 2 for a 3 with Link. Grolyd a little bit better with the 22.
I can't see around Grolyd. That's what it is.
Yeah, Grolyd's fat.
He wasn't, but he's been stress eating the last couple of days.
He's husky, not fat.
No,
Well,
Grolyd's an orc. That makes him tusky, not husky.
Yes. Yes.
Grolyd, there's nothing you can find that seems out of the ordinary, which either tells you one or two things. Either there wasn't really anything there, or it was something small enough that you're not going to be able to find tracks because it didn't leave any.
And am I actually investigating the brush itself or just area leading up to it?
All the above. You're looking in that whole general vicinity. There isn't anything that you seem to come across other than just foliage and dirt.
And nothing like that looks like a den of any kind. I'm going to assume that that's a no.
No.
All
no.
right. I don't see anything. Whether it's hallucinating or something quite small that wouldn't leave tracks.
Well, I don't think I'm going crazy or hallucinating.
You're traveling with us.
And?
Was that a joke, Grolyd?
Sorry, I don't understand this word.
As he continues stress eating.
So yeah, I'll head back and will note to keep a better watch and be slightly more paranoid.
Yes.
That's 4 times in one episode. You're
To be
like
slightly more paranoid.
DEFCON 7 at this point.
But yeah, anyone keeping a watch, it may not turn out to be anything too bad, but I'm thinking insects of some sort, and well,
Insects are natural, as long as it wasn't anything else.
right.
All right, so who's taking first watch?
Uh-huh.
Before first watch, I'm gonna try and get a whisper in with Pix, since I know he can't leave the dome. I don't know if everyone else is close by, but I'm just gonna be like, Pix,
Yeah.
I've noticed that Grolyd is being a bit more paranoid than usual.
Yeah, he's...
Is now the best time or the worst time to pull a prank on him?
Oh... I would say the
Literally
worst.
the best. It's the best.
I would say the
Literally
worst,
been.
but
Oh,
yes.
Hey, Nona, it's the best time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take whatever watch he's gonna do.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
Or should we do it sooner? Let's do it sooner.
This
Just-
is all you. I'm just sitting here
no.
minding my own.
Yep. Just watch. Just watch. So, how's everyone doing?
Okay.
Pretty
Mhm,
good after
mhm.
last night.
Yeah, it's quite interesting evening. Anna's just gonna kind of thunder up into Grolyd's like view, but not like get real close to him. I'm gonna make eye contact with Grolyd to really make sure he's seeing this. And if he's not, I'm just gonna like. Is he looking? Is he looking?
Grolyd, are you watching?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, oh, my chest kind of hurts, and I'm going to cast invisibility on myself.
Nona's mouth falls open.
Awna mumbles something under her breath, waves her arms, slaps herself in the chest, and disappears.
Yep.
Leans over to
Sure. Outfit she was casting it on.
I didn't say something like
You still see puffs of smoke wafting up from where she was.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I believe Awna may be having a heart attack.
Where'd you go?
Well, she complained about chest pains and then she disappeared. There is an sardonic look on Grolyd's face. Like he gets what's going on and isn't fighting.
Willam, you look around for
Okay.
Willam immediately stands up. Awna, are you all right? Can you hear me? Can anyone detect her? He's moving around like a blind man with his hands searching throughout the camp. Awna, can you follow my voice? Can you say something?
There's still just in one general area of the camp. There just seems to be smoke wafting up.
Oh, no smoke.
Oh, did you put it out?
No, I didn't use any smoke.
You were smoking earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's fair. Yeah, before the prank. Yeah, I got up and moved around and left my pipe where it was.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I know a good way to find her. I walk over to her pipe and pick it up.
I'll just say, figments of imagination.
What?
Am I real? I'm gonna try and take the pipe out of his hand.
You can try to do it quick or just snatch it.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Sleight of hand versus athletics check.
Oh yeah, I'll try and be sleight of handy.
All right, sleight of hand. Ryohn, make a strength check, but with disadvantage because you don't see it coming.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good enough.
Catches you by surprise. There's a little bit of a struggle, and then the pipe just slips out of your hands.
There she is.
And I guess now the smoke is around.
Willam comes running over. Awna, your chest. You said you were having a heart attack. Are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine.
He slaps both his hands on her shoulders. Clear! And attempts to lay on hands.
What are you attempting to clear?
I'm trying to move out of the way.
And here I thought
Your shoulders then.
You feel cured of all of the toxins from the smoke. Whether you like that or not, you have no idea. But
I want to dodge out of the way next time.
And they're like, oh, that was close. Woo! Wipes the sweat off his brow. And says, and your herbal kit, do you have any nitroglycerin?
What now?
That's what they make gunpowder out of, right? No, just kidding.
What you're looking for is distilled foxglove.
All right, I'll come back to being visible. Do you think that worked, you guys?
Well, it certainly cheered me up. Pix is still kind of chuckling at the whole thing.
Totally crazily stressed. It's like, don't do that again. He kind of just staggers back over to his side of the camp and sits down and immediately lies down and falls asleep.
Awna, you feel like Whisky is probably available now if you wanted to chat with him. He is definitely at least somewhat paying attention and probably pretending not to.
Just shaking.
Okay. Yeah, just pretending not to pay attention when he knows every single detail that just happened.
Not pretending to pay attention or care.
Oh, I look over to Grolyd. How's he doing? How did he react to all this?
Heart attack.
Meanwhile, Grolyd went invisible and had a heart attack. While invisible, no one can find his body.
Grolyd, think of the word.
Paranoid.
Increases his level of paranoia.
Yeah.
No. In this instance, like I said, he knew exactly what she was trying to get at, and that he was being made the butt of a joke, and just wasn't going to bite. More of a eye-rolling sigh, and then goes about his business.
Oh, that's the thing. See, Willam figured he was delegating the biting to him. So.
Nice.
Does
Which isn't
Grolyd
entirely
seem-
untrue, by the way.
Does Grolyd seem at least a little more relaxed, at the very least?
No.
Oh, okay.
To call Grolyd relaxed is probably never an accurate description.
Anytime you try to call Grolyd relaxed, I actually see more. The next generation, I am relaxed.
You might say he's not tense, but you can never say he's relaxed.
This is my happy face.
And he's never chillaxing.
Oh, of course not.
How is chillaxing anyway?
The next level of relaxing.
Well, I tried.
It's the mixture of chilling out max and relaxing all cool.
Okay.
I was gonna say the next line, but then I realized we might get what's that word? Copyright strike.
Or any other.
Chillaxin is a minty herbal laxative.
I don't know. Yeah, that seems. Yeah.
That seems plausible.
Made by Phi Zeneca.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, Awna.
Yes. I will saunter up to Whisky once the fun settles a bit.
Ponder.
I don't know, walk over.
Saunter up.
So, you've heard of a lot of different things, right? And
What are you implying?
you know things, right?
I know things? Well,
Yeah.
depends. Depends who's asking, actually.
I'm asking. I wasn't really asking though either. It was just kind of assumed. Anyway, I've mentioned this before, but if you know anything, or I mean, I think I mentioned it when I first met you, or maybe even before I met you. I don't know, but
About love?
no. Well, no. Save that for another time.
We had a conversation about that at one point.
We did. There was. I don't know if it worked. I'll be honest.
Right?
We're getting off topic. There was something that I knew about growing up. It was something called. It was like a little. I don't know. We all came together and we all had maybe something that we kind of were thinking about that might.
A kumbaya moment.
No, not that. The thing where it kind of brought us all together, something that we knew about.
Killing. Music.
Never mind. I'm going to bed. Good night.
God, get it out. You're like beating around the bush.
I'm not being. I don't know how to phrase it. I'm not good with words. Sorry. The thing that I know, I think I may or may not have experienced while on watch last night, and I wanted to see if you even ever heard of it. It's called the. I think my parents used to call it the. It was like a bedtime story. The Eternal Corridor. You ever hear that? Or am I just...
You mean where you're walking and can never get to the end of a hallway?
I mean, sort of. Yeah. Partially. Potentially. It connects a lot of different realms, layers, planes, yeah.
Whisky, make an Arcana check.
Oh, thank God. 19.
19.
Looking, I was thinking I was going to get the 5.
Whisky, you are aware of something. It seems like long forgotten. It's only mentioned as legend at this point. Largely in like bardic songs where people reference when they fall in love, and it's like unrequited love, that type of thing, where they feel like they're walking the eternal corridor of there's so many possibilities and they don't know which one to walk through because the one door they want to walk through is barred, that type of thing. It's loose in the interpretation of how they're even referencing it. So you don't know of an actual source or an actual location other than the fact that it seems like people mention this and don't even have a frame of reference themselves for it. So it's almost like this thing has been lost to time and people will reference it, but don't really know why they're even referencing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because it was like almost referenced in the Matrix. So remember the key? Corridor of doors?
Yes. Whisky would not remember this, but yes.
No. What I'm saying to us, that would be, for anybody listening, that would be like what we're referencing. Eternal hallway with many doors and don't have the great key. So this doesn't have to do with love then? Walking the eternal hallway and the door you want to go through is barred and you go way through it? Any other doors?
I mean, I wasn't reading into it.
That's what the legends talk about. It's more or less, to me, that would mean that philosophically, you're pondering something that you just don't know if you have the solution to. But you're seeking the solution. But as Awna always does, she beats around the bush. Like, we're looking around one side to the other to see each other, but I got to get you to come right out and tell. It makes people mad, by the way.
I do the best I can. So, I was hearing like marching. Is that part of love?
Marching. Go further. We're in a really strange area right now. There's fallen magic. I mean, think about it. Cities that were held up in the sky were magical. So you explode them and bring them down to the ground. What magic? But go ahead. I'm curious now. Got to my attention.
So you think it's about love?
Well, keep going, because marching is more or less military. Unless your heart's racing.
I mean, that's what I heard was sound of marching, but
that's it.
I didn't see anyone marching. I saw light. I saw kind of. Have you ever put like two mirrors in front of each other?
No, I can't say I have.
No.
So it's like that type of infinity, looking into a mirror and seeing the end. I know what you.
It's. Yeah, but like imagine it like in every direction.
And you're in the center?
I'm in the center.
That means you're the center of the universe, right?
No, I don't think that's no. I just
think about it.
How do you
you're seeing in all directions on
it? It's not that, because I guess I couldn't really say if I was in the center, right?
Well, let's put it another way. You are of the constellations, are you not?
I think we all are in some sense.
No. I can't access the constellation. Are not the constellations infinite?
Yeah.
Is the universe infinite in its own way?
In its own way, yeah. Yes.
Does that mean that you have the ability to access it? The universe holds? Maybe you're special.
I would say just as much as you can make infinite styles of songs on your instruments.
I could. If I had that much time. Everybody's special on, but you may be even more special.
No, I
can't say no to what the universe has already declared.
No, I get that more than most people.
That time. He's been chosen. People need to accept what they are. What's coming for them to do. I mean, you can run and run and run, but sooner or later, your actions are going to catch up to you. You had the chance to do something correctly. Hidden repercussions could mean many people die. I mean, look around you. We are literally walking and sleeping. The dead. Very sombering.
Yeah, and that's why I had to try something to help liven up the mood. Everyone was in such a funk.
You gotta learn you can only change Awna. I mean, it took...
That's easier said than done.
Ryohn changed himself. Nobody changed Ryohn. Ryohn came to terms. That's amazing. So everybody must... You do. There's something you want, you either go for it or... Didn't want the marching. Marching is usually military. Or the marching may have.
Maybe. Or like you said, it could have been. It could have been the beating of a heart. If your love songs are related to this, it could. Maybe it was just the trick of the mind at night.
No, I haven't written a military love song. But no, what if you're that open and the dead trying to reach you? You tell a story from a bard's point. That would be amazing. To sit and talk to the long dead. A story of what happened. Not that anyone. Maybe I'm just too philosophical for you. Looking for. Don't have straight.
No. Philosophical's fine. I'm just. I guess I was maybe wondering if you heard from a bardic standpoint or an archaeological standpoint or anything else.
The archaeological one around here is I'm not touching it. I don't want to disturb it. Right, there was 2 inches in the ground.
That said, I appreciate your philosophy.
But from bardic point of view in songs, it is the long corridor. Just wander through it and you can and to me, that's just me. I always looked at people lock their own door through their own fears, disbeliefs, themselves. Search for Awna, and let Awna go get it.
Yeah, I guess it's something I still gotta figure out if it was metaphorical or an actual place.
Could be both.
Could be both.
You could have access to no one else has. Remember, we have lived many lives. Could be that too. I know people don't want that. Then I mean,
I'm okay with accepting it.
Maybe you're experiencing it now.
Maybe. As far as love goes, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's something that I don't know.
You have more options than a tabaxi does. Don't worry about it.
You mean like reproductively or what?
Yeah, but it. Free.
I guess I don't really see too many tabaxi centaur mixes or anything, right?
Well, that would be it, but no. Hathor. Interesting. That could run faster.
I don't know. You run pretty fast already, but yeah,
not as fast as Nona. She's like,
it's true.
She might or that part horse. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe love isn't for me. We'll see.
We'll find out what you want. Do you want kids? Do you want that? Do you want to be settled down? Or the universe what you want? And you go for it.
Make it sound like it's one or the other.
No, it could be both. But that's your choice. Of course, on the other scale, you have to have someone to go with you. You know. That's
Right.
the harder.
So it's not always my choice, then, is it?
It is your choice to make the choice to ask. They don't. But at least you don't have to ever wonder. You know what I'm saying? Worst thing is to go through life and then look back and go, "Could have asked."
But wondering might be better than no, right?
Well, more no is definitive, and that gives you a final answer. And if that and you, but you'll never know. You'll never know. You can have comfort in both. Good.
Yeah, I guess that's something worth thinking about. Which is worse? Anyway, thank you. I'll figure out what this thing is one way or another.
What, the marching?
No, just the metaphor.
Of marching? Or
That
the long corridor, you mean?
Yeah, the latter. Anyway, thank you. I'm gonna get some sleep.
Okay, I'll ponder it up. Next time I run across a bar, I'll ask them too. They're need more points of view.
I appreciate it.
Correct.
Thanks.
Where?
All right. Anything else y'all would like to accomplish before you turn in for the night?
Right to my.
The way things have been going.
That's what I'm saying.
We write them all down and send them to Dahan.
And he kills us and takes everything. See how that works?
He's like, now I know what you have. All right. First watch. Who's making your checks for first watch?
Me.
I'll take it with her tonight.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, 19.
13.
All right. Sun is set. It's relatively dark, and you settle in. There's been a lot happening, a lot to ponder, a lot of interactions in the last couple of days as you guys have been trudging further north. Willam, it's a relatively simple watch for you. Nona, about halfway through your watch, you hear woof, 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 beating of relatively large wings.
And
Oh, I just realized I was muted.
And you kind of crane your head to look back, and in the kind of the weird shadowy effects, and based on the conversations that you've had, you're fairly certain what you see passing is a very large wyvern heading from the south to the north, and there appears to be at least one person perched atop the creature as it continues further to the north. And that's where we're going to stop for the night.
Dun, dun, dun.
Indeed.
Well, a lot of potential revelations and lots of conversations to be had based on those. We'll see where that leads, as that's potentially setting you all up for the next leg of wherever it is you guys end up.
Yeah.
But until then, stay safe, be good, We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.